Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 212 of Level Up, 60 minutes of live Q&A where your questions really do drive the show. Now, if you're watching over on YouTube, then, of course, you can find out much more about what we do in our channel. So do give the video a like, please, and subscribe to the channel to find out lots more about APMG International. Ella is over in the social chat today on LinkedIn and on YouTube. How can you be in two places at once? Well, she manages to do that splendidly. So do let her know your name and, of course, the city from where you're joining. She's going to post some links in so that you can vote up the questions that you would most like answered by the panel today. And, of course, for you to be able to add your own as well. If your question is selected, then your name is going to appear in the credits at the end of the show, and quite rightly too. So do get those questions in early and stay with us to see all of that happening. 2023 has been a remarkable year for learning and development. Access to artificial intelligence became mainstream. And with the acceleration of process automation, learning and development trends focus more than ever on those things which help differentiate us as human beings. What new skills did you actually learn this year, and have you been able to try out in practice? And what were your highlights of the year in 2023? Sharing their experiences are our amazing panel today. So let's jump straight in and meet them all. Sian Ferguson rejoins us. Sian is, of course, director and the co-founder of Novare Consulting, who are an international program and project management organization specializing in delivering bespoke support for large global clients. Welcome back to Level Up, Sian. Lovely to see you.
Thanks so much, Nick. It's a pleasure to be here and really excited to see the questions that we're going to get today on the reflections on 2023. You spoke about AI, but we've seen the trend going back to more traditional training. People want face-to-face and also focus more on the interpersonal skills. So it's going to be great to hear more about other people's experience.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed, Sian. Jackie Hewett also rejoined. She is, of course, a senior PPM consultant over at QA Limited, based here in the UK, where she works with corporate clients to design and deliver bespoke project and program solutions. Highly experienced in managing change, Jackie excels in what I would call high stakes change delivered at pace and scale. Welcome back to Level Up, Jackie. Great to see you again.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, really great to be back. I would second everything that's been said already. AI is obviously a hot topic. But in our field of QA and in PPM, in the area I work within, change is really a hot topic. So, more and more demand in that space. So interesting to see what everybody else says.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Mike Battistella rejoins today, a familiar face to many who've been following Level Up throughout 2022 and 23. He is, of course, the president of Solutions³, an award-winning IT service management and cybersecurity services business. Working in federal and commercial markets, Mike is also responsible for government solutions at the DVMS Institute. Welcome back to Level Up, Mike.
Thanks, Nick. Happy to be here. Happy to join this great panel and looking forward to a great discussion. It always is really encouraging and motivating, when I get off a program like this to hear the great things that have been shared, new ideas, new thoughts, and looking forward to today's. Thank you, Nick.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for getting up so early as well. It's in the winter. It's very dark early in the morning over in New Jersey. So thank you very much for doing that. Adrian Pyne joins today. He's, of course, Director of Consulting at Pyne Consulting and a Fellow of the UK Association of Project Management, a community which he has been active in since the early 1990s. A real champion of diversity inclusion. Adrian is an accomplished author of the book Agile Beyond IT and a key supporter, thank you, Adrian, a key supporter of Level Up as well. So a little bit of product placement there for you all, folks. And if you've not added that to your Christmas reading list, then I would recommend it. It's really well written, actually. It's a lovely book. So welcome to Level Up, Adrian. Great to see you.
Thank you very much. It's certainly fine for dipping in and out of if you can't sleep at night, but there we go. No, it's fantastic to be here at this special, if slightly scary event, because it's been without focus. We're not really too sure what's gonna come up. So yeah, looking forward to this one. with great panel. So yeah, let's have fun.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Etienne Shardlow joins us. He is returning to Level Up today. It's been a busy fellow, actually, the last few months. We've not been able to get him booked into one of the events because he's been so busy delivering consulting and coaching and training and so on. He is, of course, the lead trainer at Symphonise Consulting in South Africa. Etienne focuses on helping his clients align their business strategies with enabling technologies and governance to deliver outstanding outcomes. So welcome back to Level Up, Etienne. Great to see you.
It's good to be back, and it was a 12-week break, so that's quite a long break for me. So I enjoy being a regular on the show, and it's really good to have been invited for this Christmas special. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where the conversation takes us. It has been an interesting year. I've taken on jobs, quit jobs, but just in the kind of training market where I spend a lot of my time, I have seen some shifts, and I'm sure we'll chat about those in a bit.
I'm sure that we will. Thank you very much indeed, Etienne. And completing our on-screen team today is Shanice Mitchell-Cox. She joins us as our question master for the day from South Wales. So is the weather outside frightful or delightful in South Wales today?
It's actually delightful today, which is very rare in South Wales. So, you know, the sun has appeared for Level Up, the last episode of 2023.
All right, excellent. Well, that's really, really great. And welcome to all of our producers online today. It's great to see you all in the chat, and we'll come to talk to some of you in a few moments' time. Do introduce yourselves. Tell us the city, your name, of course, and the city from where you're joining. And then we'll give you a little shout out as well. So that's great. So Shanice, let's start off with our first question to the panel, please.
Of course, thanks, Nick. So we have a question from Ruth in Manchester. What would you say was the most talked about professional development trend of 2023?
Okay, so the most talked about trends in 2023, what have you come across? Jackie, why don't you start us off on this?
Yeah, we've all talked about AI, and I think most of us know that, and that's across the piece in any sort of discipline. And I mentioned earlier on about change management. I'm going to go a bit more sort of specific. One of the things we're noticing is it's not just change managers for change. It's all the layers. It's middle managers. You know, they need supporting. And I think there's a greater recognition now of that. So that's one thing that we're clearly seeing. We're doing a lot of bespoke work in that area. And another thing is the accidental project manager. I don't know if anybody else has come across that term, but people who don't necessarily have the job title of project manager, but are essentially doing that job. And I think we're seeing that more and more, or a greater understanding that that's happening.
I think that you're right. I think, some years ago, the focus was all on the people who were leading something, perhaps the change manager singular. And now I think there's a greater recognition that actually it's a community of purpose that make change happen in real life. And so more people need to understand, what that journey looks like and the tools and the techniques to be able to use and so on. So it's a really, really important thing that we do, that we widen out that base of understanding. So thank you very much, Jackie. Great answer. Etienne, your thoughts, please, and then we'll go to Adrian.
Yeah, so again, AI is definitely the hot topic at the moment. There's a lot of people trying to make the most of AI tools and kind of jump in the deep end and kind of get value out of these tools. But there's also this kind of switch, as Jackie said, to the kind of more interpersonal skills. And I think that's an important message for people, is that AI is great, but it can't do everything, and it can't do the interpersonal stuff. It can't deal with the emotional aspects of change, for example. And so I have noticed a bit of a pickup in project management, governance type skills, but then that is my kind of focus area. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is the lack of demand for change management here in South Africa. So I certainly see a need for business relationship management and change management, but I'm not seeing the demand for it.
It's interesting, isn't it, how these things, sometimes the tide can ebb and flow a little bit, on different areas of professional development. And it's all to do, I think, with timing. So you never know. After the summer break in South Africa, you may find that starts to pick up in early 2024. So thank you, Etienne. Adrian, your thoughts, and then we'll hear from Mike.
Yeah. Again, on the people side of things, I'm having a lot of conversations, and actually I was in a debate yesterday that was about leading for psychological safety, which is sort of big. And I think it's dawning on people now that we're not just saying, oh, we've got to try and keep everybody happy, but actually, how do you do things like disagree with each other, but in a way that doesn't put people down? That allows people to feel that they can put their hand up and say something, and create the kinds of team and even organizational cultures that will allow that. So it's quite interesting. And of course, I can't not mention agility. It's actually been a weird year because there's kind of two opposites I've seen happening. One is agility is under fire. From people saying, oh, agility is dead, agility doesn't work, or whatever. But on the other hand, there's a huge move of saying, how do we take agile out of IT and into business agility in particular, and move it into, say, areas like marketing, or even across the entire business operating model. So it's just strange that you've got those two completely opposite forces at work at the moment. So interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting, isn't it, when you read a headline, which is often on social media designed to polarize opinion and get a reaction, prompt a reaction in some fashion or another, and then you actually read, who was the author. It's rather like reading a national newspaper. You're expecting a certain editorial, a certain perspective, to kind of be followed. But I think that you're right. And those are strong themes, moving into more of an organizational view of agility, and also considering everybody's well-being and that psychological safety, and creating those environments for people to be able to truly thrive. Thank you very much indeed. Mike, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Sean.
Yeah, when you first asked the question, I had something I wanted to share, and listening to some of the other panelists, a number of ideas popped in my head, and AI is a great one. Not to jump on that bandwagon, but it's raising eyebrows and fear and optimism, right? And I always look at it as, anytime new technology is coming out, there's always those sides of the camp. And something like AI can be an incredibly valuable tool in the hands of somebody that's going to use it for good, and, noble purposes. And in the hands of a bad actor, it becomes, a terrible weapon. So you can understand why folks have the concern that they have. So, and then, also share about the, more of the interpersonal skills. We're coming out of COVID, and people have gotten, very used to working at home in their bunny slippers, and, kind of dealing with the screen and not having to go out. And so, employers kind of dealing with, how do we get them back, and how do we, build that, those interpersonal relationships. So I certainly see that. But from, our perspective, my perspective, with a lot of the turmoil that we're seeing in the Middle East, and, this division that has been, really ripping countries and cultures apart, we're seeing the threats going up significantly, exponentially, actually. And organizations that, maybe didn't give cybersecurity a real strong look, are looking much deeper, and trying to find out, how do we make ourselves more resilient in an economy that is being threatened constantly. So we're really seeing that trend quite a bit.
I'd agree with that. I think that this whole sense of there's been a series recently of themed events around digital trust. It's something that ISACA, the membership organization, is really championing very well, and equally so the DVMS Institute, of course. because you have these bad actors. You're absolutely right. With the wars in Europe and also in the Middle East, it's come to light more and more increasingly that people are not just, fighting each other physically, but they're also fighting each other to undermine and influence in a whole variety of different ways. And cybersecurity and who can you trust online is at the very heart of the whole debate, I think, over AI and what is original thought. So excellent points. Thank you very much indeed, Mike. And Sian, final thoughts on this one.
Thank you so much, Nick, for letting me have my say. And thank you, Mike, for disrupting what I was going to say, because I had my answer kind of planned out. Now you've talked about cybersecurity. I just realised that has been something that certainly we've had experience of. So when we're running our virtual classrooms, apparently our join instructions were a security threat, and nobody could click through to join the virtual classroom, which was we had to get around that. But on a more serious point, it's become very much, when we're doing our bespoke course development, a risk that everybody wants to see assessed for every project. Cybersecurity is like the new sustainability. There was a time when we had to make sure we had sustainability put into the business risks for categorizing and assessing project complexities, and now cybersecurity is right up there. But then, in terms of agility, I think that it is coming out of IT. I mean, we run a agile ways of working workshop for all the early careers, new starters for a large company, a global company, and every single one of their new starters, whether they be apprentices or graduates, we do this agile ways of working. By the way, I called it agile ways of working because it means it's agile wow. And I just wanted all the trainers to have to say agile wow. But that's what it's called. And it's certainly around that theme of bringing the agile principles and agility into the way, and how you, use those skills to influence all of your work, not just your work in projects. And I love Jackie's point about accidental project managers, and everybody's points have been really marvellous. So thanks very much, everybody.
I totally agree. And I love that. Agile wow. I think we should try and get more wow into our 2024 people. So there's a little catchphrase, if you like, for Ella and the social team to be able to pick up on. As it's a quote from Sean Ferguson. Okay, let's put some more wow into your 2024. And certainly from an agile point of view, it's a great way to think about it, isn't it? Okay, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Talking about social, let's jump over and see who we've got online. Kristen Nova joined us all the way from New Jersey in the USA. So actually fairly close to you, Mike, I would guess, Kristen. So thank you very much indeed for joining so early today on your Friday, Kristen. We really appreciate it at breakfast time. Lasia Pompilus is joining us from Florida in the US. I think a little warmer, potentially, down in Florida than it might be in New Jersey right now. But hopefully we've not quite hit the snow season just yet. Nuruddin joins from Nigeria and over there in West Africa. Thank you very much indeed, Nuruddin. Great to have you online today. Looking forward to your questions for the panel. Don't forget to pop a question in and we'll get it through to the panel very shortly. And Ifanye joins us as well. It's Eugene who's joining us. Thank you very much indeed from Birmingham here in the UK, right in the heart of the country. It's really brilliant to have you online. And of course, one of our regular viewers, Bina, has joined us from up there in Bradford in West Yorkshire too. Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed. Shanice, I can see the questions stacking up, so I think we should press on. Let's take our next question for the panel, please.
Of course, thanks, Nick. So we've got a question from Adrian. Remote and hybrid working is here to stay. How can we remotely manage individuals and teams for performance, but without the connotations of 1984?
It's a tricky balance to get right, isn't it? How do you encourage, manage, motivate, and so on, but without feeling like you're doing that in a micro or an intrusive kind of way? Etienne, you do quite a lot of this stuff with your background. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a very difficult space that we're in at the moment, where there's lots of hybrid classes and things happening in the training environment, but even the work environment. I've got clients who are in a race to get back to the office, and then I've got a lot of clients who don't want to go back to the office. And there's a lot of resistance inside the kind of employee base of organizations against working from home, against working at the office. But then I also have met a lot of people who are more comfortable working at the office and find that they're less distracted and things like that. And I think, like with all things, we've got to find balance. And one of the things I am seeing is that a lot of managers who weren't particularly good managers before COVID haven't been able to adjust. And I think there's a huge need for better management skills to help people manage in remote environments. You can't micromanage, you can't watch over people's shoulders. The technology allows that, but that's just going to create more resistance. And so I think we need to learn to manage better. We need to be able to identify better metrics, and help people kind of understand how to achieve their goals, and show that they're achieving their goals without having to be watched 24/7.
I agree with you. And I think also we as managers and as colleagues, we need to take opportunities to recognize good work. Because previously, if we were co-located, then the chance for you to actually smile at somebody who said, you know what, that was really great. I loved your contribution in that meeting. It can happen naturally as you're waiting to leave a meeting room, or, you're walking down a corridor or something like that. In the online world, your connection is, disconnected instantly, and then you don't get the opportunity to follow up with that person. So really great advice. Thank you very much, Etienne. Some really good points there. Thank you so much. Jackie, let's come to you next if I can, and then we'll go to Sian.
Thank you. Doesn't this speak to what you were saying on the last question about trust? It builds on nicely from that. I think it's a sign of weak management, or old-fashioned management. To think you have to eyeball someone and see them to be able to manage them. And I think COVID's helped us be better leaders generally, really now, because we had to. I think a lot of it speaks to setting good objectives. Yeah. So if you set smart objectives, you know what's reasonable and what you think your people should be doing and should be delivering. It should be measuring them on results, rather than, exactly every second of the day, what are they doing? Just because someone's sitting in at a space in an office doesn't mean they're working either, does it? I'm sure we've all seen people playing games on their phones or on their machines, and they're in the office. So, it really shouldn't make that much of a difference. It is about individual personal differences, personalities. We've got introverts and extroverts, and we all prefer different ways of working. So I think there's a lot of tools we can use to help us, get around managing this. And a good friend of mine was actually saying to me the other day, he had this good thing before COVID. Actually, he didn't care where his people were, where they were working, exactly where they were doing at any minute of the day. But if he reached out to them via whatever mechanism, a text, a message, or whatever, he expected them to get back to him within 30 minutes. And if they didn't, he knew they were up to something. So maybe that's something to think about.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Jackie. Yeah, I think that you're right. I think trust is at the heart of a good manager to individual contributor relationship. You're absolutely right there. Thank you so much indeed. Sian, your thoughts, and then we'll come to Adrian.
I hate to echo the close friend of Jackie's, but we also had our own business team has been both remote and co-located since before the pandemic. And I do expect them to get back to me quite quickly, Jackie, and I ask them things. But to facilitate it, so basically we moved office space before the pandemic, and some people didn't want to come into the office every day. So we set up a remote working environment. But what we did was also establish informal lines of communication. So you weren't always just sending that rather harsh email saying do X, Y, and Z. And we've got WhatsApp groups, and we try to make time very regularly for sort of the water cooler chats that you would have naturally in an office space. So we have tried to set that up, but we're a very small team, and it's very easy, to maintain those close connections. What we're seeing with our large corporate clients is it's just been more difficult for them because, as I think Etienne and people have said already, people want people now back into the office space. And certainly some of these clients are mandating in-person training for next year. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes, because people are genuinely quite scared about, coming out of their homes and their, small work environments into these spaces to engage again. So I think we all need to be quite tolerant of people in the classroom. I think we're going to have to do some self-training of ourselves and our trainers, because I think it's going to be a challenging atmosphere to create that feeling of safety and space when people are not used to being outside of their homes and in that group environment going forward.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Sian. Now, Adrian, you raised the question. Your experience on this, your thoughts on this?
Well, it's interesting. It's something that came up yesterday at something I was at, and I saw some research by Gallup, who's one of our polling companies, and they'd been tracking this for since about 2019. Which was obviously interesting because that's pre-COVID. But where we seem to be at the moment is just over 50% of people are reported as being working in a hybrid, and then about 25% being almost entirely site-based, on-site-based, and the other 25% being almost entirely home-based. And a lot of the things that I've been hearing is about the improvements people can be making and the need for better leadership and everything else and the technology. Absolutely right. What's beginning to dawn now, though, is that this is a trend that isn't going to go away. And whether or not how much those numbers change, the proportions change, I don't know. But the challenge is now a strategic operational issue, not a tactical one. You get a lot of things like technology fatigue, not just people can't stand sitting on Zoom meetings anymore or whatever, but they can sometimes find themselves actually having to use 3 different technologies in the middle of a call and a meeting. And that's much, and some people are getting really fed up with that and sick to death of it and sort of hating it. So it's challenges like that. And organizations, if they're going to recognize this, need to be thinking about what they're redesigning their business operations in order to make this work. It's not just a leadership question. It's not just a technology question. It's the solution is an integrated and strategic one.
Thank you very much, Etienne. I think that you're absolutely right. Getting that mix correct.
It was from Gallup, by the way. The data. Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. That's very useful. I think getting that mix and that blend, right, is very, very important. From a learning and development point of view, to Sian's point, I think that you're right. We do need, as educators, to really think hard and fast about the situation that people are in when they're trying to learn content from us, and to differentiate our approach so that each individual, maximizes the value that they spend on the course and gets the very best out of it. And sometimes that will mean changing our approach depending on the circumstances, I think. But thank you very much indeed. We've had quite a few comments in the chat. Latia, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts on your preferences, in this case for remote working, because there are fewer distractions. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, how different people will respond in different ways. The other thing that I would say as well on this one is that it's been fascinating to approach it from a cultural perspective and to look at multi-site, multi-country organizations and think about how are we embracing the different cultural needs on meetings around the world, and are we making sure as managers and leaders that we're facilitating those meetings in meaningful ways so that everybody's voice can be heard and that nobody is left behind. So thank you very much indeed. Plenty to chew on there, I think, from that question, Adrian. Shanice, if we can, let's move on, please, and we'll take our next question to the panel.
Of course. Thanks, Nick. We've got a question from Kristen Nova. What are the best methods of increasing engagement with employees virtually?
Well, this is something that we've all been working on. At least I hope that we've all been working on it. One thing that I would suggest, Kristen, while the panel are thinking, is to think about, first of all, how are you presenting yourself? okay, to your virtual colleagues. So the one thing that I would suggest is plug your computer in. Okay, make sure that you have really good microphone, because if folks can hear you clearly and without the crackling and the background noise and all of that kind of stuff, they'll put up with some slightly worse image if they can hear you clearly. But I would advise on investing in a good camera as well as a good microphone, because it will really, really help. Jackie, why don't you start us off and then we'll go to Mike.
Yeah, okay. Engagement. Yeah. When we talk about engagement, it's obviously sort of communication is inferred in that. And the big mistake a lot of us make is thinking it's one way. Engagement is very much about two-way. So it's one thing to think about what you're putting out as a manager, and that you're inviting people to things, events, but it's, are they engaged? We have at QA a big push, whether it's a team meeting or whether it's a training event, cameras on. Maybe you can have a policy, unless, of course, you've got severe bandwidth problems or something like that. But, and actually one of the things we do at the beginning of our courses is actually just show a picture to our delegates of what it looks like as a trainer if no cameras are on, and just a panel of lots of names. And then we show just a snapshot of when people are on and how much better that engagement is. So that's the one little technique we use in an education environment. But it's making it easy as well. And I love Sian's thing about things like WhatsApp. Different channels, different ways, different people like different channels. And as a manager, pay attention to, okay, your people might turn up to a meeting because they have to, but are they participating or not? And that, as a manager, you can watch out for those little signs of, if someone's not really truly engaged, and you can then go on a one-to-one basis and ask them why. So,
thank you very much indeed. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. Yeah. Excellent. Mike, your thoughts, please, and then Adrian.
Yeah, in my response, I'll include a little bit from the last question. But as a company, and we just finished our 20th year this past July, we have never actually had issues with this, because we've never had a brick and mortar building. As a consulting company and dealing a lot with the federal government and cleared facilities, we've always been virtual. So that's always been, kind of our fabric. And, when COVID hit and everybody was, virtual, there was really not a big adjustment for us. But the engagement part is really important. And I'll say with the employees, with the team members, but also your partners and your customers. I've got a number of vendor partners that you get on a meeting with them, as Jackie was saying, cameras off. and I engage with people much better if I can see them, if we can, have eye to eye and all of that. So, I'll just use a little friendly technique, hey, Nick, is your camera working? Love to see that handsome face. Come on, let's have a conversation, and doing things like that. And, and even with my partners, well, I'll go to the team members. A lot of them are in secure facilities, and they can't break off during the 8 to 5 to have a meeting. So, we'll set up an after work meeting, but I try to make it short, sweet, and do it on their schedule when it's convenient for them. Many times with my partners, there's going to be a theme here. I'll say, hey, let's get together, after work virtually and have a glass of wine together while we chat, because you're not only are you building the business relationship, but also the personal side of the relationship. So I think anything that you can do, and my resources are spread up and down the East Coast, so we can't just say, okay, let's get together for lunch. Some we can, some are here locally, so we try to do that on a regular basis, but others are remote and virtual, and they have kids, and they don't want to be doing a whole lot of things after hours. But I think it becomes the task, or the onus is on the leader to go to them. So come down into that area, pull the team together, have a dinner, have a lunch, whatever works on their schedule. But I think it's really important to be proactive in trying to build those relationships.
Thank you very much indeed, Mike. Adrian, your thoughts?
Yeah, how people behave in the relationships that they have and express are significantly influenced by either and the team and organization culture you're in. So if you want to have higher levels of engagement, not just as a one-off in a meeting, because other panelists have been fantastic in describing various techniques and approaches, and all of which I agree with. But it's better if you actually build in the culture and therefore get the behaviors you want, so that you do have kind of the active listening, the psychological safety, the ability for people to be open and honest, to respect each other, et cetera, even if they might wildly disagree with each other. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's establishing and building and sustaining a team and indeed organization culture. And about 6 years ago, I was advising a startup in data security space. And one of the things that we did was we set them up as being a hybrid operating model right from the outset. And all the things that Mike just said about his own sort of business and then what happened during COVID precisely applied to Rangoon, and still does as well. And they have evolved ever better ways of doing as a team virtually what they do pretty much in the office in terms of interactions as far as possible. Plus, they do personal interactions as well often. But it's better to build it in than it happen accidentally and sometimes get it right and often get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Adrian. Architect your way to success, I would say, is the summary of that. So thank you very much indeed. Elena's made a good point in the chat that not everybody processes information in the same ways, and that some people may find that, being able to focus on the receive mode in some meetings may be better than also considering what they're transmitting as well. The one thing that I would say, folks, that you can help your colleagues out tremendously by doing some basic things. As human beings, as primates, we're programmed to look at faces. So if you notice the Level Up panel, we spend a lot of time in the pre-show lining ourselves up and making sure that everybody can see us all clearly, and that we're lit properly and so on. And we ban virtual backgrounds. It's the single thing that you can do to improve the way in which human beings communicate with each other online. Get rid of those fuzzy backgrounds, stop disappearing, stop chopping off your ears as you rock backwards and forwards on your chair, and remove that kind of overload that you're placing on people's brains by trying to confuse their eyes a little bit. We don't need it. You don't need it, honestly. Where you work is where you work, and you'll be a lot better off without it. It's just a personal suggestion for you for 2024. Consider it. Okay, very good. Let's move on if we can, Shanice. Thank you very much. We'll take our next question to the panel, please.
Of course, thanks, Nick. We have a question from Nick, Wokingham, UK. LinkedIn have published their top 10 skills of the year. Can the panel name a skill or discipline which should be a top priority to learn and develop for 2024?
All right. Okay. Now, the top 10 came in some time ago from LinkedIn. Etienne, start us off on this, and then we'll hear from Sian.
Well, the one thing I noticed about that top 10 is it's mostly soft skills. It's all management and communication and things like that. And I think that's a really good sign that people are starting to take this more seriously. I'm not going to steal Jackie's thunder, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the importance of business relationship management. And we can learn so much about better business relationships between colleagues, between teams. And I think it's really important that those skills, and it's really interesting to see that that kind of management communication stuff is coming up in that top 10 list. So that list gives me hope.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Etienne. That's great. Sian, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Mike.
Well, sadly, I'm going to obviously agree with Etienne, because he might not have stolen Jackie's thunder, but he definitely stole mine. So I think that we've been doing, as I said previously, just a new exercise with a new training program, which will run globally. And over 100 subject matter experts were asked for their input into designing that training program. And it was all the soft skills that came out first, whether it was a risk specialist, whether it was a finance specialist. They were putting networking, communications, engagement, all at the top of their list, as opposed to their own technical skills in the background. And I think that it's important. I think that's a great skill, and it's one that I've tried to embrace all my life. To be honest, it was my father who reminded me that hopefully we'll have a very, very long career, and you'll meet people on your journey up through the trajectory to be successful. And then sometimes you'll have little dips in your career, and other people will be having the same journey as well, or obviously at different times. So I think remembering to keep your professional engagements to be respectful and to be and to keep that communication no matter where people are on their journey is a really important one. We've got consultants who've been customers, who've been suppliers, consultants again, and it's a very rich experience if you can keep that skill of engagement and relationship development.
Thank you very much indeed, Sian. Thank you so much. Relationship development is it's at the heart of good business, isn't it? It's good coaching, it's good practice, it's good leadership. It's all about, building those relationships in a sustainable and a proper way. So thank you very much indeed. Mike, your thoughts, please. Then we'll go to Jackie.
Yeah, absolutely. I have not seen the list, but absolutely great to hear that soft skills are a priority. And chiming in with the other speakers here, if we could just learn to be better communicators and to treat each other respectfully and kindly, things will go a lot better for everyone. The skills that I would be focusing on, as you would expect, is looking at the cyber landscape and what's going on out there. I just keep hearing the numbers, thousands and thousands, and we need millions of cybersecurity experts, and the industry is really clamoring for them. And what's happening is companies are hiring people that they can spell cybersecurity, but they're not cybersecurity specialists. So, it's important that, there are training avenues and folks can kind of fill those slots. But the interesting thing is, the really cool areas of cybersecurity, penetration testing, ethical hacking, threat hunting, those are all the really cool things, but that's not where the huge gap is. The huge gap is in that, risk management, compliance, governance. How do we take our organizations and get them away from just purchasing more technology, but putting better practices and processes in place so that, that they can do better today than they did yesterday. And I often use that comparison, and Nick, I think you've heard me use it before, but I'll say it for the greater audience. On the IT side, we have ITIL, and ITIL is all about continual improvement. Let's do better today than we did yesterday. And on the cyber side, we have controls. And when you really think about it, those controls are the lowest level of functionality or capability acceptable to pass the audit. That doesn't make any sense to me. On the IT side, let's do better. And on the cyber side, this is the least you have to do. So I think as as people are looking for where should my career go, or what areas or what skills need to be beefed up, I think it's in that continual security improvement, CSI, on the cybersecurity side.
Thank you very much indeed. It's so important that we address not just the individual contributor level, but also the leadership level and the mid-career manager level as well in organizations when we're thinking about these skills that we need to acquire and build upon, in 2024. Thank you very much indeed, Mike. Jackie, your thoughts, and then we'll go to Adrian.
Yeah, so I guess when Etienne said he wasn't going to steal my thunder, he was going to reference change management. And I'll just add in a little fact or figure for you. Forbes magazine in 2021 said that change management was the most important leadership skill today and going forwards. So that's quite interesting, and that's been a thought for a couple of years. So change management is all about people. That we come around full circle. We're talking about, interpersonal skills and things like that. But I'm going to chuck in something a little bit field left of maybe unexpected, which is sustainability. It's creeping in to qualifications that we're seeing, and of course referencing the UN have 17, I think it is, sustainability targets, and some of the things are not quite what you might expect. So it's not all about green technology, but it encompasses things like diversity and inclusion and all that as well. So I'm going to add sustainability.
Thank you very much indeed. It's something which ought to be part of the fabric of how we approach solving business problems, rather than a bolt-on, I would suggest. And the more that we talk about it explicitly, the more likely it is to become an implicit part of our thinking as we move forward. Thank you very much indeed. Adrian, final thoughts on this?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is build on what Jackie's just said about change. And if you like, my first message is probably aimed at rather more sort of senior people, because there's an awful lot of discussion, obviously, around AI, which is being seen as a technical thing, digitalization, which is being seen as a technical thing. And then there's that awful, awful phrase that keeps creeping back, is data-driven projects. And I just want to shoot anyone I hear using that phrase, to be quite honest, because it's people who deliver projects. That's it, folks. So, need to be doing some education around saying, if you've got technical challenges, it's the people stuff, and you need to learn that it's that people are at the heart of change. So completely with Jackie on that one. Very quickly, then the other one, my message I wanted to talk about was arising of the fact that over the years, I've peer reviewed several hundred project managers. And the single thing for me that distinguishes a project manager from a project professional is adaptability and flexibility right across the skill set. That's it.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Adrian. And it's nice when the panels speak their mind, isn't it? I love that. So thank you, Adrian. That's really, really great. Appreciate it. Let's move on then. Shanice, time is kind of working against us, but I do think we've got time to fit in at least one more question.
Wonderful. We've got a question from Iona in the audience. What advice would you give for diverse people who have hearing difficulties? How do we ensure that they are included within business?
Well, it's a brilliant question, and it's actually a really, really timely one. So I want to share a couple of things, Lona. So first of all, I think there is now some fantastic kit which is available that employers should be funding. All right, you should be funding it. APMG is a fantastic organization. One of our colleagues has actually a number of our colleagues have pretty profound hearing loss of different types. And recently we've been working with a supplier who has provided some equipment to one of our international colleagues that has made a huge difference, because instead of working separately, this actually is a device that allows this person to hear directly through their hearing aids the output of the computer on things like Zoom calls and Teams and all of the variety of comms equipment that are being used. So that's one aspect. I would encourage employers to be proactive, to find out what is best in market, and to work with suppliers in true partnership to make those reasonable adjustments for colleagues of all ranges of abilities, because people bring that diversity of talent and it enriches your talent pool quite considerably. The other thing on Level Up is that we have moved across to Zoom as an ingest platform for the panelists. So thank you, panelists, as you've been doing that through 2023. We've been appreciating it. And we're looking forward, Ilona, to provide transcription, instant transcription services as part of the Level Up broadcasts in 2024. So we've got a little bit more work to do on that, but we are making some headway on it. So we're looking forward to doing that. I know it's not perfect, but nonetheless, it should actually be of some assistance to folks who have hearing loss and would like to follow along with captions, albeit auto-generated initially. So thank you for the question. Mike, let's go to you, and then we'll go to Adrian.
Love the question. And Nick, you really hit it. There's so much technology out there that can help individuals to be successful or to, be able to communicate within. But I would speak to the business owners and the leaders of the companies. There are so many individuals out there, be it hearing, blindness, disabled veterans that have, put their lives on the line and lost limbs. Anything that we can do to take care of those individuals. And what I see, the attitude I see, not that we have a number of them, but I've talked with a number of them. They are very, very appreciative because they know that they're it's an uphill battle, but from a dignity standpoint and from a contribution standpoint, they want to be successful, and they want to be contributing team members. And I think as we can give them those individuals the opportunities, it's very satisfying for us and for them as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Mike. Adrian, your thoughts?
Yeah, completely support on the sort of technology side of things. And I think for me, it comes back to the cultural bit and the team culture and organization culture, so that, and if necessary, be coaching teams in how to ensure that you've got inclusion is being actively done. That's it, really. Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's some really great guidance available. And also, I would suggest if you're watching online and you're not sure where to start, then do reach out to the panel. We are available via our LinkedIn profile. It's actually on the APMG International website. So look at the event page, and then you can, a single click will connect you online onto our LinkedIn profiles. And we do welcome connections from professional people such as yourselves. So please do that. Reach out to us. And if we can help you on that, then we really will. I think we've kind of come to the end of the road for today's set of questions, and also for the final questions of the year, I think, pretty much. I suppose there is one question still to be asked, panel, which is the biggest one of the year. In your closing remarks, you might like to answer this one for me. Have you been naughty in 2023, or have you been nice? Etienne, your final thoughts, your closing remarks for the show, please.
Oh, I think I've been naughty. And I don't know if I want to be admitting this on a public channel, but I used AI to help me write my resignation letter.
That's got to be one of the most. I'm blushing, so. Yeah. No, that's got to be one of the most appropriate uses for OpenAI in 2023. So thank you, Etienne. It's all right, my friend. You are amongst friends. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Quite what to say to that. Thank you very much indeed, Etienne. That's brilliant. Mike, your closing remarks, please.
I enjoyed the show. Panel, thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas, and I hope we can do this more together. Nick, it's been a great honor to be part of this program, and I'm gonna say it formally because I know this is being recorded. I'll know I'm really part of the APMG International team when my face shows up in the intro video. And just saying, just saying.
Well, Mike, it was it's actually a couple of years. It's getting a bit old now. That
I was thinking that too. Yeah. Also, I want to reinforce what you said. To get connected on LinkedIn. Not only the panel, love to connect with you guys, but also the folks attending and listening. Please do reach out. I can tell you, Nick, since I've been part of these panels, I have folks reaching out all over the country, and I have tremendous conversations. When they reach out, I want to talk to them, and I have had tremendous conversations with people from Nigeria, the UK, different parts of the globe. And I can't say that too much because I am a federal contractor, that kind of thing. And then if there's one thing I learned working with the federal government is when you ask a question like you did, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, there you go.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much indeed, Mike. A fantastic answer. We really appreciate it. And thank you for your support throughout the year as well. And we do need to kind of revisit, I think, our opening titles for the show. I'll give that some thought over the little break over Christmas. Adrian, your closing remarks, and then we're going to go to Jackie.
Well, I've also been totally honoured to be on a number of panels this year on a lot of subjects, a lot around agility, but not just that. and it's been fantastic. I'm always pleased that Nick allows me to be the panel's grumpy old man, so that's really great. But I kind of need also for next year, I've got a New Year's resolution to maybe rein back the rhetoric sometimes, occasionally, because I know that it can have an impact on some folk, but I mean it nicely.
Not at all, Adrian. Not at all. It's fabulous.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. Absolutely right. It's fabulous that you were able to, give us your time very generously, and we appreciate it. And amongst all of the different work that you do, and next year it would be great as well to spend a little bit of time thinking and talking about some of the pro bono work that you do and some of the charitable work that you're supporting as well and leading on. So we'll look forward to that in 2024. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't make me look too good.
That's okay. Jackie, your closing remarks, please, and then Sian.
Yeah, well, thanks, Nick and APMG, for inviting me back. And I think, this session has been quite interesting because of the cross sort of topic or cross sort of discipline areas. So I think that's been quite good to sort of see some different perspectives. And I'm going to come back at you a little bit, Mike, and I'm going to be nice with a hint of naughty. I'm in the opening credits, so don't mess with them.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, Jackie. We appreciate that. Sian and then Shanice.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the panel. It was my first panel this year, and I've really enjoyed them. It's great fun to give up some time on a Friday just to have a jolly good chat. So I really, really have enjoyed that. And it's been lovely to meet everybody on the panels and the people that have reached out in LinkedIn. So thanks to APMG for including me. It's marvellous because I probably represent a very small bit of Wales here. I know Shanice is based in Wales as well. So my final thoughts are Nadala Clywyn, everyone, which is Merry Christmas in Welsh.
Oh, well, how wonderful. Thank you so much indeed for that beautiful language and bringing it to life and pronouncing it properly. As you know, English people, myself especially, make a complete hash of pronouncing words. So thank you very much indeed, Sian. How lovely. Shanice, your closing remarks.
I'm definitely not going to attempt to speak Welsh because Sian done it so beautifully. I do not want to make a hash of it, like Nick said. But I just wanted to say it has been an incredible year for Level Up. It has been so fantastic to be part of, and just meeting and getting to chat to so many professionals and audience members. Oh, I feel so lucky. So thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, I'm always nice, by the way, Nick. So just saying.
You are indeed. You absolutely are, Shanice, as are the other APMG elves working behind the scenes, to Ella and Adriana, who have been the kind of engine room, really, I think, of the social engagement this year. Thank you very much to both of you. To Suchitra and to Charlotte, who have been doing all of our talent management and liaison work with, we now have 290 registered panelists now for Level Up that represent more than 100 countries. So it's incredible, really, the diversity of the talent that we have. And if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'd quite like to be a panelist as well, then it's easy. Just drop us an email to into the show, and we'll see what we can do to get you onboarded for 2024. It'd be really great to have you as part of the team. Lastly, but not least, I want to thank our producers online. These are, of course, the audience, because Level Up is a question and answer show, and it doesn't work without your questions. So if you've submitted a question, if you've made a comment in the chat today, if you've joined in with it, then that is absolutely brilliant, because I can assure you the most common comment from the panelists in the post-show wrap-up is actually how much we learn from each other as we do these. So thank you very much indeed for your intellectual might in asking questions that you do and challenging us to think through our own experiences and really embed them in our daily lives. Thank you very much indeed. Do watch out for your name in the credits if your question was selected, and keep an eye, of course, on our website, where you can search for answers to more than 2,100 questions that have been previously asked on Level Up and across all of the APMG International videos and webinars and so on from all over the world. Don't forget that you may also listen to the audio versions of the shows on your preferred podcast platform. Just simply search for APMG International, Level Up Your Career, and you'll find us pretty easily. Now, Level Up takes a break over the Christmas period, so we are going to thank all of our producers, production team and panelists for all of their hard work, and to wish you, in each and every one of you, a very happy Christmas. We're going to return on January the 8th with the first of 2 episodes, which focus on planning our career New Year resolutions for 2024. So really looking forward to seeing you all then. And I'll be on LinkedIn in between times as well. So do drop me a note and we can chat then. Just ask and we will send you a personal summary of what's coming up on Level Up and how you too can join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you in 2024.